Sometimes bugs happen even with test-driven development. And in this live coding session, you'll see me wrestle with that. I use Cursor in agent mode to help me, and it seems to guide me to a solution, but my faithful viewers correct me and point out the problems with the way Cursor was going and how my mental model of state and binding was incorrect. And so this is a nice mind-blowing moment. Thank you to my faithful viewers for teaching me. Check it out in this live coding session. Hello, welcome to the Quality Coding live stream. And greetings to the people who are already here. Mudshark, as always. Hello, John Irving. Subscribed. Wow. Thank you. I don't know if you're here, John. I assume you are. But welcome and thank you. Appreciate it. My name is John Reed. I am a technical coach and developer. And let's see here. You know, as far as where to find me, hey Eric, welcome. I think there are a fair number of developers on Mastodon, but I really prefer Bluesky. Like, I reach for Bluesky first. I don't know about you. Maybe your experience is different, but I just find it nicer. It feels good. Maybe that's just because Mastodon, by its nature, is a little clunky. Oh, thank you, John. Nice name, John. Long-time YouTube viewer, first-time live stream. All right. Well, good. I know that doesn't work out for a number of people in terms of, time, availability, time zone, other commitments. So that's great. That's a good segue into hello, folks who are watching on YouTube after the fact, like John has been. And yeah, give this a subscribe, and if you like even part of what you see, give it a like. Appreciate it. All right. What did we do last time? We have a bug. This is the thing. We found that I had introduced a bug at some point. I think I want to go back and refresh our memory on that. And that, how do you prevent that? Well, it's usually useful, even with TDD. I make it a practice usually when I'm working on a production thing, to do my TDD, and then before I push, actually do a quick sanity check manually. But that also reveals it reveals a problem. It reveals a gap that we're missing something in the system. Like, ideally, we should be able to push and deploy if all the systems let us. And now I'm not deploying this stuff, but if no test stopped the bug, that's a gap. We need to rebuild that trust. How do we do that? Do we need an acceptance test? Do we need a UI test? What went wrong? I don't know. However, do push straight to main if your company allows it. There's nothing wrong with main getting the occasional problem, as long as you don't ship it. It's better to have continuous integration happening all the time, so that, well, how do you fix it? You fix it and you push the fix to main. Done. First time chatter, Harold Sachs, welcome to the chat. Good to have a new person say hello. Hey, John, are you doing any workshops? I am not at this time. That doesn't mean I can't, but I don't have any public workshops scheduled. If you'd like a private workshop for your company, then, you know, that's something to discuss with your manager, and then we can figure something out. Do you? Yeah. Shoot. You know where to find me? Send me a note. We can probably arrange something. As far as LLMs go, well, we'll see some of that today. Great. All right. I'll look forward to hearing from you, Harold. What is the bug? We are working on Mastermind. We have it working for a single round. We're trying to do multiple rounds. That's what this is up here. And trying to draw the empty guesses that is each round. But there's a problem with feedback. Let's do this. So here's the problem. If I select all 4 colors, they should all be in there because the secret code is which is it, a combination or a permutation? I think it's a combination. It's a mix of all these 4 colors, right? So if I go like this, I should get feedback in here as soon as I click the check button, but I'm not. So question is, when did this happen? And I do like get bisect for that. So I've got some things set up to help me for that. Get bisect start. Yep. And then I can go get bisect bad, because we know we're in a bad state right now. Now, where do we go for good? Somewhere in the past. I'm going to pick that one. So let's go here and give it a run. Yes, read from disk. Always read from disk. Why are you asking me, Xcode? Stuff happens outside of you, in case you didn't know. Although, we'll discover Cursor may have some similar issues. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's the feedback. 2 in the correct position and 2 in the incorrect position. So that is a get bisect good. Now we're letting Git help us by figuring out where the middle is, which is especially tricky in Git, because the Git log isn't necessarily a straight line. It's often a convoluted thing of many branches and so forth, especially if you have merges. So 11 revisions left to test after this, roughly 4 steps. Okay, so now we're somewhere else. You can see that it advanced, or it changed the hash, the commit, to something else somewhere in the middle. So let's run it again. And in 4 steps or so, we should have an answer. Whoops. Okay, that's bad. Again. Boom, 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 boom. Bad. Roughly 2 steps. Doom, 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 doom. That's good. Get bisect good. roughly one step. Boom, 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 boom. So that's good too. And there we are. This is the problem. Extracting the round view. What is this? Oh, that's not it. Yeah, no, 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 no. Let me get that hash and do git bisect reset. And we're back. Yes, yes. What is the issue here? History? How do I find... Come on. It gave me a nice thing here saying the problem is extract round view. And I thought I grabbed the right commit number, but I guess I didn't. There we go. Okay, so what we had was the code guess view. That seems to be working. The feedback view is taking feedback pegs. And we extracted the round view from that, which is down here, which takes feedback pegs. And it seems probably likely this was Eric's guess last time. That it's probably because it's using state instead of binding. The state is just slapping something in. The binding is two-way, so how is that working? Round view. Suspicion is on here. Why? I was just looking at why do I have an initializer, and it's because we have this extra new property there, the round. Okay, so let's use cursor. Are we using the correct round when validating the secret? I think it's more likely that the feedback is a problem. So let's use cursor and let's have it help us. Now, I'm using cursor more these days for private work because it has leapfrogged past whatever it was before, which was already pretty cool. This agentic stuff, it's nice, gotta say. And I have it set to agent mode instead of just like, so that it can do stuff. It can make changes. And in particular, there's one thing that I think might help us. Well, we have a guess at what the problem is. So let's ask it, does it know Git history? I don't know if it can. Trying to get this Oh, I think it's too wide. Hang on a second. There we go. There we go. That's better. Stop. Don't run that. Actually, that's not a bad thing. I should have just had it run it. Well, what's our problem? It is this. Let's see. Commit blah introduced a bug. And say, yes, let's run this thing. I can see the commit that introduced the bug. The commit extracted a round view component. Can you read this? But there's a critical issue with the implementation. Let me examine the current state of the files. Let me check if there's a separate round view. Now I can see the bug. Well, that's making stuff up, I think. It doesn't know what the problem is. I don't know why it's asking if there are any tests that are failing. It's already zeroed in pretty well. The round view has its own state for a game and feedback pegs, but these are initialized from the parent's values. This creates a copy of the state rather than sharing it. So changes in the parent don't propagate to the child and vice versa. Where is this used? It would be in round view. What is round view doing with game anyway? It might be okay as is. So let's see about use bindings. Keep game as state, but change feedback pegs to binding. Let's try this and see. Yeah, let's ask it. What's it doing here? Okay, so it changed feedback pegs to a binding. It also changed the initializer because there is an initializer. All right, let's give this a whirl. Now, to run this, actually first let's see if I can run it and if it fixes things. Sure looks like it did. The game might need to be a binding also, but that's not the bug. Like when we get to multiple rounds and so forth, yeah, this could very well need a binding for the game. So that looks good on that front. Let's try the tests. and the tests don't build. Well, here's something. I did set up a run tests script for to make it easier to check how it works on in GitHub Actions instead of putting it directly inside of GitHub Actions. There it is. It sets the scheme into destination, and then it calls Xcode build test. I did have to change this. I tried running this script locally here, and it didn't work because it's had OS equals latest, and now I've got the beta of whatever it is, Xcode, whatever number they've gone to, 25, 26, 27. So it seemed like I had to specify the actual thing. Hi, William Wake is in the house. Can we see variables of color of round view? Latest usually is worked for me until you install a new thing. So welcome, Bill. The round view itself. So this is the change here. This used to just pass in the feedback pegs, and that was the bug. So now it's passing in a binding, but now this make SUT is failing. Over on the test side, because hey, it figures it can pass in feedback pegs. Can I do that? No, I can't. It's not like because this is not a state. It's just a variable. So let's, oops, wrong one. Here's what I want. I want it to run tests or run in, what is it? The reason I'm trying to do this is because instead of doing it the old way of saying, okay, and I'm going to copy the error in and stick it into the chat, it found it like it can see the compilation error itself, and this is really nice. And then it made a change. And now let's see, what did it do? It changed it into a constant. Interesting. Tests have now run. That was actually faster. I thought this would be slower. It was my impression that Xcode build test took longer than just doing Command U. But that was nice. So it's made changes. Now we can take a look. By wrapping it in a constant, what is that? Takes a value and turns it into a binding. Saying bind it to thing. Nice. Well, it probably means it works for these tests. Now remember, I'm missing a test. We are trying to fix the bug right now. We're just trying to get back into a good state. That reminds me of an article from Industrial Logic. Tale of Two TDDers. I had this queued up, of course. And this is a good story by Josh Kirievsky about what happens when there is a bug. One TDDer says, okay, I'm a TDDer. I'm going to now create a test to reproduce the defect and all this stuff. And the other person, and it takes time. And the other person is like, no, we're going to fix the problem. And then we'll go back and fill in the missing tests. The advantage of doing it that way is fix the darn thing now. Like, people are waiting. Master is broke. Our main is broken right now. Let's do. It did run the test, but I just want to see it in here also. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. I got concerned there. That was a ghost error. So this is a bug fix. I don't have the commit template handy, and I don't have it in my head. Hang on a second. There it is. It's a medium risk. Less than 8 lines. Bug fix. Fix feedback. And there we have it. Phew. Problem solved. Fix pushed. Now we're only partway there. We've pushed the fix. Hooray. Right? Doot, 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 doot. Yay, feedback again. But how did this happen? All the tests were green and the bug still got in there. So what? Let's now. I wrote another blog post. Another one over on Industrial Logic. Safety nets. How to turn your next defect into a win. Basically, we want to ask, how did this happen and how do we keep it from happening? And do some exploration. That one, I'll share that here too. So why did this happen at all? Don't we have feedback? We've got feedback tests here, like this one. Tapping check button updates feedback. What is it doing? It's making the system under test, getting the 4 code choices, and then inside of a changing view, it goes tap, 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 tap on each color, and then tap on the check button. And it's getting the feedback. Peg color 1. I feel like it almost should be a compiler reported error is passing to a state variable as an argument. Ever right? Well, let's see, game screen. So you're asking, I know Mudshark is still twigged out about passing game in as uh, as just pure state. Questionable. It is very questionable. But there's no reason not to pass in state. Yeah, this is highly suspect. It's probably a problem that hasn't surfaced yet. But aren't we doing this in other things too? No, the code choices, we're passing a game down. That is interesting. Like, it could potentially have been a linter error. So, okay. I think of state as source of truth, but passing it as an argument makes that a lie. That's very interesting. And I feel like maybe we're missing a linter error, and I'm not running a linter. Would SwiftLint have caught this? Would it say, whoa, you've got a state here, but you're passing it down. Cursor said that makes multiple copies, which goes against the source of truth. I think I have SwiftLint. I do. Let's just run it on. Whoop. Let's get back to Mastermind. SwiftLint. Let's just see what it says. Wee. Oh, not too many problems. Trailing new line. Redundant sendable violation. Type name violation. Identifier name violation. Redundant sendable. Trailing new line. Force try. Line length. Redundant sendable on tests. Here we're in game screen. Oh. That's kind of a funny little thing. That's not. Oh, look at that. We don't need parentheses. I'm not seeing anything about what we're looking for. So let's capture this. Let me say I don't particularly like the word agentic. Feels weird to me. Can read. Can run. That I think is really nice. Another thing is fix the bug first, then backfill missing whatever it is, the guardrail, whatever the type of guardrail that happens to be. And that's the question we're trying to do right now. And the question from Bill, if state is source of truth, it always be passed as binding. I wonder if there's a... That seems like... Let's take a look at SwiftLint rules. Right, if it's mutable, otherwise it doesn't matter. But I'm not seeing anything about SwiftLint having a rule on that. Seems like it should. It does feel funny. Is there a way we can write a test? And I don't know if there is. Or to the point, why did this... Why does this pass even though there was a bug? That's still a question in my mind. Why did the production code fail? What did we have? We had the game screen has feedback pegs. That's a problem that it has only one feedback peg that should be in a round, which should be maybe part of the game. It's not the multiple rounds, it's that we extracted it and passed it down. What did Cursor say? I'm pretty sure it said it created another copy. Right. State creates independent copies that don't sync with the parent's state. Still a little puzzled about how this worked. It was a copy of a state because RoundView, yeah, contains its own. It contains its own feedback. So I'm a little puzzled. Wouldn't this get the same? Why this wouldn't get it from the accessibility identifier? Why did in game pass even when the bug was present? Here's another part of the agent style is it's going out and looking at things proactively. I'm used to the old way of having to open things up in tabs or having to reference them specifically by name, but it's really nice that it can look and say, okay, I need to go see where this is defined, and I'm going to go read that. Okay, why? The test inspects the UI directly. Yes. The UI reflects the parent state, even though RoundView had its own copy of feedback pegs due to the state bug. The feedback view inside RoundView was still receiving test flow. User taps code choices. Check button updates game screen feedback pegs. The bug meant that RoundView had its own copy of feedback pegs, but since the test was only checking the visual result, and the UI was still showing the correct feedback, no, it wasn't. This is where I'm confused. Hey, Marcus. It's understanding the bug wrong. And this is where I want to learn. Right? We have 2 copies of feedback pegs. We know that. But that confuses me. Like, what is actually rendered? The problem is what was rendered, which was rendered by the round view. Hello there, Xmoxel. Each I feel like it's getting this backwards. So the bug was that when I do the check button, we weren't updating the feedback pegs, and the solution was that we weren't passing this in as a binding. But the mystery is, why was the test still passing? And the bug was that the actual UI wasn't updating feedback pegs. Revise your explanation. Now I understand the real issue, it says so confidently. Was it the case that the game screen wasn't seeing the changed value, but it was updated on the screen? Or was it updating what is it updating? Check button has an action to change the feedback pegs. There's the bug. I mean, check button is changing the feedback pegs, and that wasn't feeding back into the round view. That's why it happened, but why did the test still pass? So it's almost like it's looking at these feedback pegs, but that's not what the test is doing, I don't think. The test is actually inspecting the view and looking for a particular accessibility identifier, unless there are more than one, which I doubt. Could potentially be a run loop thing. Huh. Here. I'm not going to read this. Oh, well, maybe it is. Right? This is the problem that we just identified. When GameScreen updated its feedback pegs, the round view's copy remained unchanged. The test passed because of test isolation and timing, maybe. Bug wasn't visible since the test was checking the feedback peg color right after the button tap, and round view was initialized with the initial feedback pegs, which were empty. That's possible. Let's have a look. No, the feedback pegs aren't empty. They come in as the initial feedback, which is for each peg is, so it's 4 empty. That's not correct. The initial feedback pegs I feel like we're really close, but still dancing around the mystery. So Marcus is wondering if we need to await the tap. It round view just displays it. That is all it does. It's just a view. And the feedback view itself is also, I think, just a view. If it just displays, why does it need a binding at all then? Could be just a plain var, perhaps. Well, then we'd need to replace the round view. This is mysterious, you guys. You're asking these questions. When it's like when the check button fires here, and the feedback pegs then get replaced with a new set of feedback pegs, then we should re-render this. And we weren't? Question? uh, when the check button, the action is out here. It's not inside the check button. You know, it's out at this layer, not inside the check button. Should be non-behavior changing now. Drop the binding. Change to a plain var. A plain var. Let's see if I'm still clean. I am. I mean, wouldn't that just no state? Yes, this used to be state. That was the problem. This fixes it. The question is that correct? And Bill, you're saying just pass them in? So oh, this is funky. I'm not used to seeing that. That must be a little binding magic to get at the underlying thing. Yeah. By doing state in the inner round view, it now manages its own copy. Yeah, that was the problem. Oh, so... Ah. This is fascinating. Hang on, I need to note this. Yeah, back on the at the game screen. There it was. Back here. Will it be happy passing that from a state into a straight var? Let's find out. Get rid of that constant. I'm not ready to commit this yet because I don't trust it. Oh, you guys. Oh man, so it was wrong. Cursor led me down. Or this is the problem with AI, is if you suggest something, yeah, I think it's the binding, or I forget what I asked. Okay. Okay. This is super good for like fixing this model. I just posted a new video about gamifying TDD and making predictions. And when the prediction fails, that shows a disconnect between what's actually happening and my model of what's happening, my mental model. And so state, I know this is super fundamental and these things have been around for a while now, but you know, I haven't done Swift UI in production yet. This is my only chance. So when there is state, that is a hand wavy thing of passing in a reference to something. It's not a reference. It's a copy. State. Okay, I need to say this. State makes this mutable inside of an immutable struct. The state, right. So here we are inside of a struct because it's a view, and the state is necessary to sort of pretend to put it in a box that says this thing is mutable. But by passing that on, that was a mistake. Same with binding. Binding is necessary only when it's two-way, that it needs to change the value going backwards. And since it's not, great questions, it's unnecessary. And I wanted this to update, and it does update. It doesn't update when it's state, but it, like, I didn't even know you could pass the state down into a straight variable. Wow. I feel like I need to dig into this some more, but this is really good. Oops. I just want to see it again. Hey, got two in the right place. The round view didn't need to update the state of the pegs. It doesn't need to manage its own copy. So we use var and let the computed property magic do its thing. That is, we use var when this changes, then the state changes. Something happens to say, whoops, this is dirty. Recreate a new round view. So a state that holds a struct, pass it in as a simple, oh, this is it. Thanks so much. This is very important for me. So binding is only to mutate upwards. Hey, 2Dino. You're, it's just so cute. It's a dino dance. Binding is only needed pass state as straight bar when read only, it will redraw. Wow. I still feel like there's some Swift lint rules or something that could help, but, and I still don't know. I'm a little bothered by how this got past all the guards, the tests. But let's commit this. And commit it, John. So this, I would say, is medium risk. Is it a refactoring? It is really more of a bug fix. It's a bug fix on top of a bug fix, which ought to send off alarms. Fix use of round view to redraw when pegs change. That is still the question that bugs me, is why can't we have a test that guards against this in some fashion? And maybe it's because it doesn't know when something is mute, read only. It doesn't know that. But I feel like I need to go back now and re-review all our views and stuff. So we fixed the feedback. I still don't know what test we're missing. And I want to, now that we found a problem, we need to check for it in the rest of the views. When there's more than one round view, won't each need a binding again? Well, we'll have more than one feedback peg. We got the feedback peg in the wrong place. The design is wrong. Yeah, our design is wrong. There's more to do, but I'm going to call it. This has been really important for me. I know this is super basic, and that's why it's so important for me to get this right, is to get my model right. So, curious if the SwiftUI instrument coming out will help with this kind of thing. Is that something that's in the beta? Maybe I can give that a try. If there's more info on that. Basic and fundamental, yes, very easy to trip up on. Used to be even more confusing. Not sure if it's in beta yet, but big hype at DubDub. So I did make the last commit because I ran tests, which I'm using sort of a half TCR thing. Half in that there's commit and push upon passing, but on failing, it's not reverting. It's a soft TCR. It's like accelerated TDD, and I really like it. Yeah, I'll give that instrument a try. So, wow, thanks again. This was really good. I feel like I need to dig into this some more and get it deeper in my head. But thanks for patiently instructing me, helping me, asking better questions than even Cursor was. Because it's not smart. It's clever. LLMs are clever, but they're not smart. All right. Then We will call this a wrap. Hey, folks who have watched this after the fact on YouTube, thanks for watching. Do come back and click all the buttons to, do the thing so that you get more of this. Appreciate your watching, and I will come back then. Have a good week. I will see you next Sunday. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.